You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com. Hey everyone, before we get this episode started, we wanted to let you know that Sean and I have been asked to attend FMCA's 106th International Convention and RV Expo, March 15th through the 18th in Perry, Georgia. We will be putting on a live daily show every morning for the full event. So if you're going to be at the show, be sure to stop by our booth and say hi.
We want to thank Echo One Adventures for sponsoring our trip to the FMCA convention. Echo One Adventures is a company that does electrical installs in all types of RVs and rents travel trailers fully outfitted for off-grid living. To learn more about them, go to EchoOneAdventures.com. Thanks again to Echo One Adventures for their support.
Hey everybody, welcome to Driver's Edition. Whereas, Sean and I sit down, we talk about what's going on with our lives, what's going on in the RV industry, and just news in the RV industry from around the world. First, we want to kick off and let you guys know that Sean and I will both be attending FMCA's 106th convention and RV show. Live, man. We will be there every day from the 15th to the 18th, putting on a live show. After each show, we would love for you guys to come down, talk with us, chat with us, do photos, maybe let us know what you think of the show, any ideas that you would like us to maybe incorporate into the show. We're always open to make a couple changes here and there. But I think the morning show for us, is it like between 8 to 9:30, Sean? Something like that?
I thought it was started at 9:30.
Was it that late? Okay. So maybe start at 9:30, end up 10:30, 11 o'clock or something like that. We're going to do very similar to what we did last year, which would be 2 guests every day. We got FMCA, Fantasy RV Tours, Battleborn Batteries, Cummins, FMCA RV Insurance, Custom Glass Solutions, FMCA Roadside Rescue, and ProTang. So if you want us to ask anybody, or if you want to send us some questions for any of those companies, we'll definitely take those questions and ask them, and then you get to have your question read online, and it'll be live. It'll be on our Facebook page. It'll also be on the FMCA Facebook page.
Yeah, and if you notice, there's some old friends of the show and some new people that we haven't talked to yet, and I'm really excited to talk to those new people, especially Cummins, because we haven't talked to any engine chassis manufacturers that I'm aware of.
No, I can't think of any. Yeah, no chassis guys. Yeah. I think the Cummins one will be really interesting. They're a major player in the RV industry. They're responsible for some of these big diesel pushers. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I know last year was a lot of fun for us. This show is in Perry, Georgia. So you have 2 ways of kind of seeing the show and hearing the show. One, you could actually be in Perry, Georgia, and there at the convention and see us live, or you'll be able to see us online. If you're not an FMCA member and you would like to become a FMCA member and see us live there, you can use our discount code BTW10 to get $10 off your membership. The membership really pays for itself quickly. The membership's only $50. We're able to give you another $10 off, so it's only going to cost you $40, and it's good for the whole year. There's lots of discounts and services that FMCA provide. I actually use one of the things that I'm actually using it right now is their hotspots. So I'm using the hotspot and able to broadcast through here. It's an unlimited hotspot. It is an additional charge, but as far as internet service goes, for being truly unlimited for $60, it's like $60 a month. It's really good. It's on an AT&T service.
Yeah, they have so many services and benefits that, like, it was just a couple months ago, their monthly magazine that they put out was like double the size because of they list all the benefits and programs and all that stuff that come underneath the FMCA umbrella. So they have a lot of stuff to offer, a lot of discounts for people.
Yeah, and those discounts are activated from day one. There's no waiting period. So if you join FMCA and you're looking to buy tires, you can join them on a Monday and buy those tires on a Tuesday and get your discount, and you would have paid for that a couple times over.
Yeah, besides using the discount code, you can also go to our Brands We Trust page and click on the link from there, and then you don't have to worry about the BTW10 code.
Yeah, and we got a lot of brands on that page. We got Passport America. We got obviously Battleborn batteries, but there's a lot of companies on that page, and those companies are not just companies that we have a discount with. Not all of them, I should say, have a discount, but we just list companies that we think are making improvements in the RV industry. So yeah, definitely check out that Brands We Trust page on our website.
We got to send out a big thank you to Echo One Adventures for helping us get to the show this year. Jordan is sponsoring our travels, so we're really appreciative of that, and thank him very much. And if you're looking to have any type of electrical upgrades done to your RV, travel trailer, whatever it is, and you're in the Southwest area, check out Echo One Adventures and give Jordan a chance to earn your business.
Jordan, actually, I just hired Echo One Adventures myself. They just did an install in my RV. We expanded on our solar panels, and we also expanded on our Battleborn battery capacity. I've added some game changers to the RV, and working with Jordan was really easy. Jordan was very good about keeping in touch on the phone and online, and Jordan's very conscious of your money spent. Like Jordan, I remember Jordan calling me or emailing me and saying, "Hey, I think you're going to need an extra fuse. It's $10. Is this? Are you okay with it?" And I remember saying, "I said you don't have to contact me over $10. It's okay."
So Kenny, what did you have, and what do you have now?
So originally, we had our two Battleborn batteries and 320 watts of solar. We've
And you had just 1,000 watt inverter,
and a 1,000 watt inverter. Yep, that's
and that
correct.
was pretty much it.
That was it. Yeah, that was really all I did. I did what I always consider like a very simple swap. It wasn't really a big change up as far as like it wasn't very labor intensive. So it was something I was able to do myself. I just I took our two lead acid batteries out. I put two Battleborn batteries in. I put the solar up on the roof, did an ugly job of running cables down to them, and left my original 1,000 watt inverter. So it was a very simple, very easy install for me to do. We then decided that we got a lot of trips coming up. We're keeping our RV for at least another 4 or 5 years. Let's go ahead and upgrade our battery system. So we hired Jordan, and he installed three game changers, a 3,000 watt inverter. We now have a total of 1,300 watts of solar up on the roof, and we were able to come up with a system where we kept our original Battleborn battery. So it's like a split system where our two original Battleborn batteries are controlling all of our 12-volt functions, and then the three game changers are controlling all of our AC power. So, or I should say 120-volt power. So like air conditioner, our microwave, an air fryer, that all runs off of our game changers. But things like our furnace, the puck lights up in our ceiling, that's being controlled by our 12-volt system. But by being able to use the split system, we now have like over 1,000 amp hours of
Wow,
usable battery power, and
that's a lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot, and but it's been great already. We went to New Mexico. Jordan came out to the campground. He did the install right at the campground. It was very convenient for us. And then on the ride back, we actually stayed one extra day just to test the system. We unplugged from the campground and ran a whole day on the system, just testing it before we left the area, make sure we were happy with everything. Jordan did a really nice job of giving us a walkthrough, making sure we understood how everything worked. And then we drove home and we stayed overnight one night at a Flying J, completely unplugged. But the way he wired it into our system, it's always on. We could turn it off if we wanted to, but really the system is meant to be turned on and left on unless we would put it in storage. So now it's really like just traveling and being plugged into like 30 amp service all the time. So we got to the Flying J, we used our air fryer. I think we even ran our electric heat pump for a little while just to warm up the coach. Yeah, just very, very convenient system, and really just an excellent, clean looking install. Once you close the bed, the cabinet for the bed, we don't see a thing. There's not one wire exposed. It's super clean. It's crazy clean. And because it's all Victron stuff, it's all Bluetooth. So there's no buttons to push or anything. Monitors and everything is just on my phone.
And so you didn't have to spend any time outside the RV, like at a hotel or another RV or anything, while he was doing the install?
No. Yeah, no, we just stayed at the campground the whole time. I probably was in his hair more than he would have liked. To be honest, he would have probably appreciated us maybe going out and exploring the city a little bit, but I wanted to see what was going on, and I think I did slow him down a little bit. But I also took pictures and filmed him while he's working, and Belle's up there bothering him every once in a while. But yeah, no, it's super convenient. Just like you said, Sean, we didn't need a hotel or anything like that. He made sure that every night that he was done or at a stopping point that we could power our RV back up by, plugging it back in and turning the power back on. So there was never a night that we didn't have power or were inconvenienced, I guess you could say.
Wow. And it took what, 3 days?
Well, I think I made it a little, he could have probably done it in 3 days, but I think it took 4 because Battleborn Batteries came out. They wanted to film him. And then also I was in his way a lot of times, asking him questions and having him show me things and stopping him so that I could record things. He could have probably done it in 3, but I think it took 4.
Yeah. And he's a preferred or recommended installer for Battleborn Batteries, right?
Yeah, that's really the reason why I chose Jordan and Echo One Adventures. I met him at Overland West, and we started talking a little bit. He thought I worked for Battleborn Batteries because I was in the booth at the time, just helping Battleborn Batteries out a little bit. And we were just talking, and he was like, "Oh, I'm one of Battleborn Batteries' preferred installers." I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know there was such a thing." And he was telling me that he was in New Mexico. And I said, "Oh, I'm in Arizona." I said, "I'll have to keep your information on hand in case Sabrina and I ever want to upgrade our system. I'll give you a call." And then you and I had him on the show, and we got to learn a little bit more about him. And then I think I met him again at another Overland show. So we just knew when it came time to expand our system that we were on use Echo One Ventures.
And then before you got your batteries done, you went on another little trip, huh?
Yeah, we've been busy. Yeah, right before we got to New Mexico, we went the wrong way. We left Arizona and went to San Francisco first. Sabrina had some work out in San Francisco. So we took the RV and we made it into a little vacation. She was there working for 3 or 4 days, and we extended the trip another 3 days. So I got about 7 days in San Francisco of free time. And Sabrina got about 3, maybe almost 3, we'll say a solid 3 days out in San Francisco. And we stayed at a KOA. It was San Francisco KOA North. And it's not the closest campground to San Francisco, but it got the best reviews. And we've stayed at several KOAs, and we just figured, let's go with what works. We've never had a bad KOA stay, and this was no different. It was a really nice campground. Had a little petting zoo on the property and pool. It was about 45 minutes from the center of the downtown area, but I looked at it as almost like a little retreat from all the chaos that was going on in the city. So
it was north of San Francisco?
It's called, so I'm really bad with directions, Sean, but it was called North. It was called KOA San Francisco North. So I'm going to say it was north of the city. It was north of the city. It was definitely north of the city. Yeah. It was really close to Muir Woods, though. And if anybody's listening and you've never been to Muir Woods or never heard of it, I would definitely, plan a trip out to Muir Woods. I did a lot of hiking and walking in Muir Woods. If you have a national park pass, your national park pass gets you in. You don't have to pay an extra a fee, but I do think you still pay for parking, and they have a little bit of a strange parking situation. You have to reserve parking online before you arrive at Muir Woods, which I did not know about. So when I pulled up and they said, "Oh, do you have your reservation for parking?" I said, "No, I didn't. I didn't know anything about reservation for parking." They said, "Well, you do need reservation. We can't even let you in, but we do have space available, but we don't have internet service here, so you don't have to drive down to the beach and log in, get on your phone, log into our website, make a reservation for parking, and then drive back up here." So there's a tip for you right there. If you're planning on visiting Muir Woods, make sure you have a parking reservation so that you don't have to go through the hassle of, driving to get service to make that reservation. But Muir Woods is full of redwood trees. And I remember telling Sean when I was like hiking, you feel so strong because I think it's a combination of the air being very cool. Apparently it stays like 60 to 70 degrees all year round there. So the air is cool. It's very dry. It's a low elevation and you're surrounded by these massive trees and just a lot of greenery. I felt I don't know, just felt really strong. I felt like a superhero walking through and hiking. I felt like I could breathe easy. And it was they ask everybody to be somewhat quietish because of wildlife. So you can really get to listen to the streams and the birds. And it was, it was one of my favorite days actually out at San Francisco. Yeah, that was one of my favorite days in San Fran, and so was the day that we went to Alcatraz. I thought that was an excellent, excellent tour, and I didn't know that Alcatraz is part of the National Park Foundation. But I don't think that you could use your national park pass for it, even though it's part of. I think it was considered a national park monument and not a, a park. So maybe that's why. But highly recommend the Alcatraz tour. That was really good. They give you a headset, you walk around, and it's more than you hear inmates describing their life at Alcatraz. You hear the guards explaining their life at Alcatraz. And there's also what we thought was the best part was sound effects. And these sound effects were pretty realistic to the point that Sabrina and I, every once in a while, we like look back or look over our shoulder to see what was making the noise behind us. But it was just the headset that you're wearing as you're going through this guided tour, self-guided tour. You had the ability to stop or start the tour on the headset.
Yeah, two places I want to go that I haven't been yet: Muir Woods and Alcatraz.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. We had a great time there. We did a bunch of stuff in the city too. Sabrina and I are both not huge fans of big cities, but we did check out a couple cool restaurants that were really good. We went to Ghirardelli Square. That was pretty cool. We did a Segway tour of the city. That was fun. It's just a lot of people for us in the city.
But all easy access from that KOA.
Well, it's easy access if you have a tow car. So we do have a tow car. If you didn't have a tow car, you'd have to stay at a closer location. But because we have our C-Max, we would just drive the car down in the city and then the park for the day. I think it was like maybe $20 to park for the full day. We parked over at the Ghirardelli Square. So once you're parked up there, you have access, the Uber, there's a trolley car station right there. So you can get on the trolley car there and take that down into the center of town. There's also a lot of scooters that you can rent through your app. Different apps. Spin was one of them. And something I haven't seen yet is that there was an app for a motor scooter that you could rent, and it comes with a helmet and everything. I wanted to give that a try, but by the time I noticed that they were renting them, it was too late. We were already kind of on our way out.
How were the sites at the KOA?
They were great. Yeah, we had plenty of space. They had pull through sites and back in sites. We had a back in site. I would say the only thing was that our back in site was a little, well, I'll say more than a little unlevel. It was very unlevel. So it took me a little while to level up. But yeah, once I was in and set up, plenty of space, very quiet park. The park itself also has redwood trees there, so it was really a very scenic. I would say it was a very scenic looking park, and it's like I said, 40 minutes from the city, 45 minutes from the city, so you're well outside the city. It's really quiet, just a really nice campground. Yeah, I would definitely recommend the campground.
And then it's going back to the install, you stayed at the campground. I saw pictures. That campground you stayed at there was pretty nice, and it was a city campground, right?
City campground, which I thought was our first time ever staying at a city campground, but Sabrina told me it's second or third time staying at a city campground. So we had electric at our site, but no water or sewer. They do have some sites that had water and electric, but I don't think any of the sites had sewer. And this was the Coronado. Was it the Coronado? I'm gonna have to look up. Sean, did I ever tell you the name of the campground by any chance?
No.
Hmm. I think that it was called the Coronado RV Park in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And like Sean said, it was a city park. They had like little Adobe style picnic areas, like you had a structure and shelter and a little picnic table inside of it. Some of the sites had astroturf because Albuquerque is similar to our home area here in Arizona. You don't get a lot of like comfortable grass. So I thought it was nice that the city park put in like astroturf at some of the sites for your pets.
Oh, yeah, that's clever.
Yeah, yeah, it was a really nice park. It's now our go-to park for going when we stay in Albuquerque. So Sabrina and I actually stop in Albuquerque a lot, and we've always stayed at KOA in Albuquerque, which is very nice too. But this will be our new go-to spot because the scenery at this park was really nice. You were able to see the Rio Grande River and the Sandia Mountains. It was a really nice campground. And it was super quiet. We were by far the loudest people there, and we felt bad about it, but nobody seemed to mind.
Well, you had a more adventurous time than I did. We just, our son, two of our sons live in Dallas, and one of them had a birthday on Friday, so we flew down there just for a short weekend trip to go spend time with our sons down there. Interestingly enough, they live in Arlington, Texas, which is a city right by Dallas. In the middle of Arlington is a KOA holiday. We didn't stay there, but it was we. I looked it up. It looked pretty decent, and actually, we know people that have stayed there and said it was a great RV park. But it's right in the city. I mean, it's traffic and everything all around there. Kind of reminded me a little bit like the KOA in Tucson, the way that's kind of in the city now.
Yeah.
Kind of like that, but it looks like a cool place to stay if you want to go visit Dallas because it took us, Julie and I, like to go to all the presidential libraries, and George W. Bush, the library there is at the Southern Methodist University campus. And so we went there, and it was only like a 30-minute drive from where our sons live, which is just less than 5 minutes from that KOA.
What is a presidential library? I've never been to one.
Oh, so it's really like, well, there's two parts usually to a presidential library, and one is like where they keep all their papers. And so people that are doing research can go there and review kind of their papers and stuff. But that's the library part. The other part, the part that we go to, is more like a museum, and it talks about usually the before they became president, their life before that, and then really focuses on all the issues that they encountered during their presidency. And so and this one also had a replica of the Oval Office there at the museum.
Hmm.
George Bush, man, he had a lot of crap happen while he was president. Like right after he got elected, there was 9/11. So then there was all that terrorism stuff, and then Hurricane Katrina and the 2008 financial crisis. So it was a really interesting museum, lots of interactive stuff in there. It was probably one of the better ones I've been to, and I think I've been to more than 5 so far. So yeah, it was really good. I recommend that museum to anybody that's going in the area. And it doesn't matter if you're like Democrat or Republican. It's just it's informative. A lot of history in those museums. They also have like when the presidents receive gifts from other heads of state or things like that, they have all those on display too. So you get to
Okay.
see some cool stuff that they've gotten as gifts.
Is that something like that takes you all day? Or I guess it could take you all day depending on how much reading you want to do.
Yeah, we were there. One of our sons was with us, so we were there. They're not as interested as we are, but we were there probably 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's a long time.
Yeah.
When in San Francisco, I went to the Walt Disney Family Museum. I was there for about 4 hours too. I'm big on museums myself, but I think you got to be a fan of Disney to want to spend that kind of time reading about them. And because it's not about like Walt Disney World. It's about Walt Disney himself, and because it's about him, it actually doesn't get into too much Walt Disney World stuff because he died before Walt Disney World even opened. So you really got to be a fan of his, I guess, to appreciate the museum.
Yeah, that's another thing I want to go after you telling me about it. So it's already time for podcast awards again, Kenny.
I know. I was going to ask you, is it earlier this year than last year? Because I feel like it doesn't feel like it was a year ago that we were getting entered and nominated.
Yeah, I think it was more like, well, we probably got entered a little bit late. It must have been April, I'm thinking, that we did it.
Yeah, so we're going to re-register. We're going to try to get into it again. I know last year you guys really helped us out, and we got into the top 10 for the leisure category. We would like to hopefully do that again and get in the top 10. We did not take home, the award, but being in the top 10, I mean, I think we were both super excited about making it that far.
Yeah.
So
super excited.
So we're going to need your help again. We will let you know probably in a newsletter once the voting starts. Yeah, if you guys could help us out again and get us pushed up to that top 10 list, that'd be really appreciative.
Yeah, I'm excited about those awards again. It was just a fun experience, even watching the awards being given out, listening to, the speeches from the winners. It was fun.
Yeah, I agree with Sean. I think the whole experience of it, even though we didn't take home the grand prize, I think just the whole experience of it was really fun. Like I said, we really appreciate you guys helping us out, getting into that top 10.
So let's talk about some news, Kenny.
Well, to start, let me say I believe that all of our news this this time came from RV Business. We just had Rick on the show. He is the executive editor. Is that his title?
Yep.
Of RV Business, and he said, when you guys are using, he said, make sure you're always quoting your source. So I'm doing my due diligence here, and I'm quoting my sources that most of this news, or if not all this news, came from RV Business. I found all the news at RV Business, and then went and did a little bit of our own searching. But we first heard from all of these stories from RV Business. The first one is that a company called Blue Compass, which I've never heard of before, but I think Sean did. Blue Compass acquired CoachNet. CoachNet I'm very familiar with. It's a company that Winnebago uses, actually. When you purchase a Winnebago, your first year of CoachNet comes with a Winnebago. So CoachNet I was familiar with, and CoachNet is like a roadside service. If something were to happen to your coach and you need a tire change or a jump start or something like that. Blue Compass, though, I've never heard of, and we did a little bit of digging around, and it turns out the company was started in 2018, so it's a relatively new company, which might be why I never heard of it. Sean, you've heard of them?
I've heard of them briefly. Yeah, they're the number 2 in the camping, I guess, dealer industry behind Camping World. But they started in 2018, like you said, but they already have, I think, over 100 dealerships in 33 states.
Yeah.
So they've done some fast growing. They have a very ambitious vision, which is to be the greatest RV company the world has ever seen. I always worry when I see companies grow that fast. I mean, now's a good time in the industry, or at least it has been. They're buying up a bunch of these dealerships and putting them under their umbrella. But we all hear about, the complaints. Once something gets so big, I feel like it happens every time when somebody gets so big, then customer service kind of suffers a little bit. So I hope that's not the case. And it seems like they're doing a lot to help the experience. Like they have their own RV tech training locations, like 3 locations, and they've trained close to 1,000, I think, RV techs. And they like to promote within. So if they have like a detailer or a forklift operator, they'll encourage them to get training to become an RV tech. So I think they are focused, buying an RV is one thing, but getting service on an RV is a whole nother game. And that's where a lot of companies fall behind, I think, is the service after the sale. And so if they can conquer that piece, that will be great. And I think bringing that back to CoachNet, the roadside assistance is part of that service after the sale. And by acquiring a company that's been around since the 80s, I think CoachNet's been around for a long time.
Long time.
Yeah, I think that's a step in the right direction for them.
Yeah, so it does say 100 full service RV dealerships and over 1,000 service bays across America. 4,000 highly trained certified associates. I think part of their growth, or I should say, and I don't think, I'm curious if part of their growth being able to grow so fast is that they started the company in 2018, and shortly afterwards, we had I'm gonna call it the COVID boom, where the RV industry really just exploded and people were making money like crazy. I wonder if it was just the perfect timing for them to come in, and maybe they started to get money or have a flow of income that they were not expecting to have. And maybe that's why they were able to grow so quickly, or start to buy up so quickly.
The nice thing is, it sounds like they're not going to interfere with CoachNet so much. Like the CEO of CoachNet is going to stay in charge there. Hopefully, it stays that way, and they just implement the right pieces into their overall framework. But I think it's a good move to have that as part of your service, as long as the other people using CoachNet don't suffer because of it. It doesn't sound like that's what's going to happen. So it's probably good for Blue Compass and also good for the RV industry in general if they can figure out how to incorporate all this together in a way that to where customer service doesn't suffer.
Yeah, and I think they went about this acquisition in a pretty good way. They actually became partners with CoachNet in 2019. So I think they worked with them for a little while and maybe felt that CoachNet is providing a great service. And their wording is, even though they acquired them and even though they bought them, 4 years later, they're actually considering it an investment. Like you said, they're keeping the current president. So they're looking at this as more of an investment, as more of a just to invest in the growth of CoachNet, even though, I mean, they did buy them. But I agree with you, Sean. It doesn't sound like they are trying to do a total takeover of the company. They're just they probably bought into them just because they saw how well they were doing, and they probably just wanted to maybe absorb some of those profits from the CoachNet.
If you're thinking to yourself, I've never seen a Blue Compass dealership, it's because I don't think they're called Blue Compass. They have they maintain the names of the dealers that they had before. So like RV1 Superstores, I'm sure lots of people have heard of that. They're under the Blue Compass umbrella. Explore USA is another one that I know I've heard of. They're a blue under the Blue Compass umbrella. And the founder of Blue Compass, Harvard educated lawyer, lots of industry experience in the automotive industry. So yeah, I hope it continues to grow, and more importantly, I hope it stays good for the RV consumer and the RV customers.
I'll say I don't know if I love the idea of them keeping the original names of the dealers that they buy. I think I would prefer them to use the Blue Compass name. I feel like it's almost giving people a false sense of choice, because
But
you might
Kenny, oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I I think the opposite because I
Okay.
think of just going on social media as soon as a dealership becomes a camping world, that's when all the negative stuff's,
Mm,
all the negative press comes around because they call it, now it's called a camping world instead of Joe Smith's RV dealership. I think
yeah.
this is smarter because people aren't going to realize, oh, it's another one of those Blue Compass dealers. Once one person has something bad to say, then other people jump on the bandwagon, and pretty soon you have people dedicating podcasts to trying to destroy your business. So I think it's pretty clever move for them to leave it the same because it takes some of that away. I think everybody hates big things like Walmart, and in our area, the camping world. They don't like them. I think some people don't like them just because they're big. Now they do have some issues, and that's part of what happens when you're big. I think a lot of people just see the name and automatically have some sort of negative feeling about it. Where if they kept the other names, maybe that won't happen, and it'll be better for the customer
I'll say I hope
and
you're
the
right,
company.
Sean. I think it plays more favor for the company than it does for the consumer. But I do
Yeah, I'm
agree with
sure.
you that like the way that Camping World does go about it, and once Camping World buys that company, they kind of turn over the name to Camping World. I feel like people don't give that company a chance. I think they just base it off of the Camping World name, and they don't go in there to actually judge that dealership for themselves. Because I mean, I've gone to several Camping Worlds, and sometimes it's a good experience, and some of them are a bad experience. But I really don't try to judge the entire Camping World as a whole. I guess
Right.
I'm
Yeah. In
willing.
fact, I have my RV at a camping world right now, getting work done. So, yeah, I feel the same way, Kenny. I don't judge any individual dealership based on the overall name. Just like Lazy Days, they have several, and
Oh yeah,
they're called Lazy Days. And so, if you have a bad experience at one and you publish that somewhere, then other people think they might be at a totally different Lazy Days, and oh, this place is terrible because I read such and such. Yeah, it is better for the company, but I think it could also be better for the customer.
yeah. I definitely see your point. I could see how it could be better for the customer too. Yeah. But yeah, so that is Blue Compass. So never heard of them before, but keep your eye out for them. I guess they sound like they're really going to blow up in the next couple years. And to be honest, it'd be good for somebody to give Camping World a little bit of competition too.
Yeah,
That's
I think
always
that
good.
will improve things huge.
Yeah, that's always good for. I mean, that's always good for us too. It'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to see if we start seeing Blue Compass, the name Blue Compass, more at shows like when we're at FMCA and the Tampa shows and things like that. I wonder if we'll start seeing that name more and more. I found this pretty interesting that we got the 2022 results for, and here in the United States anyway, as far as sales are going, and there is a 21, if I'm reading it right, 21% decrease in RV sales. And I not surprised by that number really. I felt like, the RV industry has been on a high for, I think, for as long as I've been RVing. It's been on a high. I think that the year that Sabrina and I started RVing, which was 2017, the market was like just starting to kick up. And then, it had a good year, it had another good year, and people kept on expecting it to start to drop, and it never did. And then COVID hit, and then they were like, beating records and stuff like that. Although 21% this year compared to, 2022 compared to 2021, that's a decent drop.
I think inflation last year, that's when all that started happening. And then last June, I wrote a blog post where on our website, you can go to it, where I looked at the previous 7 years of price increases compared to household incomes, and it's way out of whack. So, like up to 50% price increase in RVs over those 7 or 8 years compared to a, geez, what was it? 10% increase in household income. So I think part of it is inflation and the economy, and the other part is the RV industry maybe getting a little too big for their britches and basically pricing people out of RVs.
Yeah, I feel like people are getting priced out of RVs too. I feel like Sabrina and I are priced out of RVs right now. And that's why, we went with the new Battleborn battery like expansion, is that we took a look at, we said, are we going to keep our RV for a couple of years, or are we going to buy a new RV maybe next year? We have 111,000 miles on our Class A, on our Winnebago Vista. And we said, it's getting up there in miles. Are we going to trade this in and buy another RV? And we're like, well, let's take a look and see what will it cost for us to buy, because we really like our RV, so we would want to keep a very similar layout, maybe even possibly get the same model again. And we start looking at them, we're like, wow, these are like $180,000. That just kind of, for what we have for this size Class A, we're like, we're not spending that. So we were like, we're definitely going to start doing upgrades. So I mean, I did Coney shocks, and I did the Sumo springs, and I was like, well, now we got to increase our power capacity too. I mean, that was a big point in our decision making, whether we wanted to do this power upgrade. Was, are we going to keep our RV or buy a new one? And we're like, we can't afford a new RV. We can't even afford like a slightly used one.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, if I had to pay, so let's say I paid about 50,000 for our Arctic Fox. Would I buy it for 75? I don't think I would.
Yeah.
I don't think I would buy it for 75.
Same exact conversation, Sean. We bought our Winnebago in 2017 for $79,000, which is a lot of money. That same model today is now 170,000, like $170,000. And we were like, well, one, we couldn't spend it, but we wouldn't spend it. Like, we felt like we got a really good deal on ours at the time. And I don't think there's deals to be made on RVs like there used to be.
Yeah, maybe this will help.
This might help,
Maybe
though. Maybe next year or in a couple months. I was looking at these numbers too. This was a pretty interesting article because it shows market share and things like that. It shows you just how big some of these companies are compared to other companies. Like Thor made up, for travel trailers, Thor made up 41% of sales, compared to a company like Grand Design made up only 7.6%, which is so weird to me because I know Thor is huge and you see them everywhere, but I feel like I see a lot of Grand Design travel trailers. Like every campground I go to, I feel like I see a Grand Design. But yeah, Thor at 41% and Grand Design at 7%. But I guess maybe Thor, I can't, to be honest with you, I can't even think of a Thor travel trailer. So maybe Thor doesn't put their name on travel trailers. Maybe they call them something else. Oh, well, Airstream is part of Thor, right?
Yeah.
That's probably it right there. That's probably their 41%, because I do see a lot of Airstreams.
Yeah, I was surprised also in the Class C's that Winnebago was only 10.7%.
Yeah.
And I see Winnebago Class C's everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah.
I was surprised by that too.
The one thing that didn't surprise me, Kenny, was that the only positive growth in the industry was Class B motorhomes that grew by 14%, almost 15%. And I think over the last, since COVID, you think about van life and overlanding, those have become so popular. It doesn't surprise me that Class Bs grew, even though I feel like Class Bs are some of the most expensive vehicles for what you get. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they've grown, given that what we've seen in overlanding and van life, just huge growth in those two areas.
Yeah. Are you surprised though by how much it was up by 14%? I feel like that's a pretty big swing compared to, the average being down 21%.
It is surprising how much, but it doesn't surprise me that it was positive.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that was positive either. Like you said, that overlanding market is really growing, and you got companies out there like Storyteller that's putting out a really popular and good Class B. But then you also have other Class B companies that we probably never even heard of. There's so many of them at the overland shows.
And like you said, the overlanders seem to have a lot of money.
They got tons of money. I don't understand it. I go to these shows. I'm amazed by how young they are with how much money they have. I don't know what they're doing, but they got tons of money. It seemed like when I was talking to a lot of them, it was from real estate. So, and real estate's always
Oh.
been pretty. But yeah, a lot of them seem to real estate, Airbnbs. They either buy property and sell it. Yeah, a lot of it seemed to me anyway as real estate that they were making money in real estate. Keeping with this kind of theme and the sales coming down, RV Business did a video interview where they took 3 RV dealers and talked about the current state of their sales and market strategies. And I felt I like all stuff behind the scenes stuff. And I thought that was pretty interesting to hear these guys talk about what their sales are looking like now and what do they contribute the drop of sales and what can they do to maybe help increase their sales. They said that the buyers of today are being more cautious in their buying decision, which I think that would be like a no-brainer. But I think during that big rush of that pandemic period where RVs were selling so fast, you either bought it or you lost it. Like I don't think you had
Yeah,
time to
even
think.
used, not just new. Yeah,
Yeah,
not
new.
just
Yeah,
new, even used.
even used. Yep. If you didn't buy it that day, somebody else was going to buy it right out like that. It was gone. So you either bought it or you lost it type of thing. And now with the slow of the market, now the buyer actually has time to make a decision. You know, they have time to think about it. They don't have to worry, well, if I walk away from this today, it's still going to be there tomorrow. Like I don't have to worry that it's going to be gone.
And then interest rates have
Yeah.
gone up, so that probably slows things down a little bit too, and makes somebody, if they're going to finance it, it's a tougher decision, right, on how much you're going to spend, considering all the interest you're going to pay because of the higher interest rate. So that would make me think a little bit harder about it too. The trouble for the dealers probably is that based on the last couple of years, they may have a huge supply on their lot that they have to get rid of now in order to get newer stuff in.
Yeah, there's a British Columbia. They estimate that they have 60% of their 2022 models still on their property that they're trying to move before the 2023 models hit their lots. And I would imagine that's because there was, for a little while, the RV dealerships were just pumping these vehicles out really quickly to make up for this demand. The demand dropped off. There's a little bit of delay. And dealers were buying these vehicles as much as they could, as fast as they could, and now they have these vehicles and without buyers. So
I wonder now, though, Kenny, last year we heard a lot about some of the big manufacturers were thousands of units behind in manufacturing. I wonder what that does to their backlog. Like, are they still backlogged, or have they caught up? Have they had to reduce production? I wonder.
I think what happens is they just stop. I think they stop production and take a look at their numbers. This would be my guess anyway, that they would just stop production, look at their numbers, and say, well, yeah, this was our backlog, but it's not anymore, and now we gotta need to readjust our schedules and our flow just because
Yeah.
it dropped off so fast.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. And I think even Rick, when we interviewed Rick from RV Business, I think he kind of even hinted at that a little bit, that a lot of production stops once a year for everybody to kind of reassess and see what's going on. And it's not camping season right now. We're still very much in the winter time, so sales are normally low at this point. I think this gives a lot of negotiating power to a buyer right now. If you were to look at a 2022 at a dealer today in a winter time, knowing that dealer's about to start getting their 2023 inventory, where they probably already started getting their 2023 inventory. Actually, they're usually a little bit ahead. So I think that does put a little bit more power in the buyers' hands, but they're still, to me, still very inflated prices.
Yeah, I
You know,
think
they
prices have to normalize a lot more before the it flips back to a positive.
Yeah, I think so. And one of these dealers had, I thought was pretty interesting what he wrote. He said that during the pandemic, they were having supply chain issues. The manufacturers were having supply chain issues. They were having quality issues because they were hiring new people to start working on products. Then what happened is there was a lot of first time buyers for an RV that now didn't really have a lot of knowledge in in RVing, bought a vehicle that, for lack of a better term, was a pandemic RV that had a lot of issues. And those two things combined just gave them a really like a bad taste in their mouth for the RVing experience, and probably will not make them a repeat buyer. You know, a lot of people might have got into RVing, lack of knowledge, problems with the RV, and probably said, you know, this isn't for me. I'd never do this again. So I think they're losing a lot of their repeat buyers at the same time that all this is going on.
Yeah, but I think overall this cycle of now we're on the downside probably of this cycle. It's going to be better for RVing in general if the prices come down and the quality goes up and the consumers are able to afford RVs again. I think it's going to be I think it'll be good.
Yeah. And those interest rates, like you mentioned earlier, they're not helping anybody being as high as they are. I would say this is not a good idea, but the one thing that probably helps out a little bit is that you can sometimes get like a 20 to a 30-year loan on an RV. I do not recommend doing that. I don't think that's a good idea, but I mean, it lowers your payments a little bit, but I like I said, I don't recommend doing that. That's a long time for a depreciating asset.
Yeah, I just think about my house. We have a 15-year loan on our house, and if we would stretch it all the way out to 15 years, we would have paid over 50 grand in interest.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money. I mean, and our house was around 300,000. So to pay, what is that? A sixth of the price on top of it in interest.
Yep,
And the
and
RV interest rate's not going to be a 2 point something, you know what I mean?
I was going to say
So if
you got a good rate on your
yeah,
interest for your
so if
home.
you're going to pay 7% or higher on a RV over 15, 20 years, you're probably going to pay for that thing twice.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're paying double for it. Yeah, I was going to say 7% right now, from what I'm hearing, is a good interest rate. Like, wow, that doesn't sound good, but apparently that's a good interest rate today.
It's going to be an interesting year, I think, for RVing,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
at least on the business side. Yeah.
Yeah. They were saying also, I just read an article today, real quick. I'll throw in here to go kind of hand in hand with the RV dealers, is that companies are slowing down their purchasing of property and slowing down their purchasing of campgrounds. So they're slowing down the purchasing of property to turn them into campgrounds, and they're slowing down their purchasing of campgrounds that are already established, also because of interest rates. I haven't ran into this just yet, but everybody keeps saying they're having trouble getting a campground or booking their sites. I still haven't had an issue really. I can't think of a time in the last 2 3 years that I wasn't able to get a spot somewhere. But people are saying that it has been difficult. I wonder which is, I guess, slower, the fact that campground sales, the properties are going down, and the fact that RV sales are going down. Will it level it off, and maybe getting a campsite will be easier now? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I really hate to see slowing down of campgrounds because there are so many RVs on the road. It would be nice to have more options, but because that also some campgrounds are expensive to go to, and if you're having to pay over your budget for an RV and then have to pay over budget for campgrounds, more campgrounds maybe would drive the prices down a little bit as well.
I have noticed that for sure. Campgrounds are getting way more expensive than they used to be compared to 2017, when Sabrina and I first started camping, compared to now. I want to say campgrounds have almost doubled in price since we've been on the road.
Yeah, I mean, we've since 2014 for sure.
Shameless plug over here right now is that you can sign up with Passport America and use our discount code. Go to our brands we trust, go over to Passport America, and Passport America is a company that allows you to save 50% on your campground stays. I use Passport America a lot, actually.
Kenny and I are both lifetime members
Yep.
for Passport America, and that was not given to us. We
Pay for them.
we both paid for them because we like the service that comes along with it, that 50%. And these aren't like run down, crime ridden campgrounds. These are decent campgrounds that we have no problem staying at. So yeah, that is a good program, Kenny. Thanks for mentioning that, because that will save you money on campgrounds.
And they'll be at FMCA, and I'm pretty sure they give, if you don't want to use our discount code, I'm pretty sure they're going to be running specials at the FMCA show. I know they were last year, and they'll have a booth there, and you can go talk to those guys. They're really nice people over at Passport America. Sean and I both bought our memberships last year. They were doing a good special because it was like the 40th anniversary or something like that. I think, I want to say we got almost like $75 off the lifetime memberships because of the special that they were running. We got really good deals on them.
So I think that's it, Kenny. I think that wraps up this driver's edition.
I believe so. I just want to throw a shout out to Echo One Adventures again for sponsoring Sean and I's travels to Perry, Georgia. This year, I'll be driving from Arizona to Georgia. Sean's going to be coming from Virginia to Georgia. Gas is getting better, but it's still pretty expensive. So we appreciate Echo One Adventures kind of footing our gas bill.
And as always, thanks to Battleborn Batteries. I think we can say that they've signed on for another year of sponsorship, and we'll be doing some more stuff with them this year. So look for that. We just really appreciate them, and we really like them as a company. And it's really a privilege to be associated with them because of everything they do, not only for the RVing and boating community, but for the community in general. You know, they do a lot of charitable work for all kinds of things in the community. So yeah, I'm really proud to be associated with a company like that, and they're all good people over there. So check them out if you're looking for anything electronic battery wise for your RV. Check them out for sure. And I think that's it, Kenny.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.